What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Grand Statisticians of War. Before we begin, though, just want to give you guys a shout out. If you guys haven't caught the last episode or two of Star Trek Picard, I mean, you can watch the whole season. It's an incredible season. Got like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Highly recommend you watch it. If you grew up with the Next Generation back in my day, there's a it, this season was just amazing. There was so many throwbacks, and it was just like the whole internet right now. Like on Twitter, I think like the top 10 is discussing Star Trek Picard. It's incredible, man. Highly recommend to watch. Highly recommend. There were so many surprises and just things that just happened. I was just like, wow, didn't see that coming. All right, hopefully you guys doing good today. If you hear some noise, that's my son in the back. I was supposed to do a video earlier, but dude, I caught up on sleep, man. Caught up on sleep. I needed it, man. Like I woke up at like 0830, man. I felt like I was waking up back at 0400 back in the day. I was like, it's not 8:30, dude. I feel like it's the middle of the night. Fight must go on. The cause of civil liberty must not be surrendered at the end of one or even 100 defeats. Interesting. I was watching this thing. I gotta actually finish it. This is a 2020 special on ABC. I highly recommend you watch it. I think it's called Jordan. Type in just ABC Jordan and then T at the thing, and it'll pop up as like the first thing. It's about this girl, she's like 15 or 17, something like that, who called 911 at like midnight or something like that, and she's like, I ran away from home. Anyway, a cop went to go pick her up to bring her back home, right? And he just started noticing her vocabulary was like off, right? Like, it's like, do you have any injuries? And she was like, what is an injury? And I'm like, right? And she was like, do you have any bruises? What is a bruise? And it was just really like she had no accent or anything, but she didn't understand the word, man. And it was just really weird. And she was saying that her her sisters and brothers are chained up, and so she somehow was able to get her hands on an old phone that was in the house and call 911. Was to slip out of the house and call 911. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It's on ABC 2020. It's just crazy that this stuff happens. You gotta watch it. It's crazy, man. I don't understand why people would do such freaking crazy things that they're like 15 kids too. 15 kids. Dude, I have my hands full with 3. There's my son over there. I have my hands full with 3. 15. No wonder they freaking I mean no wonder like they are like, I don't know, I'm not gonna say it, dude. I'm not gonna say anything about people that want big families, but there's got to be something there. If you want to have 15 kids, there's got to be something there in regards to, like, I don't want to say mental, but something there that's unresolved, right? Maybe some childhood thing or whatever, but like nobody goes around and says I want 15 kids, right? Except that woman, right? Wasn't she on like the Maury show? Like she had like 20 kids, the Octomom, or she had 30 kids or something like that. Did he just cross? Dude, check this out. This is not. I didn't know you could do this in this game. He decided to avoid the roads and go from here to here. He was right there. That is insane, man. I never saw that in this game. That's insane. I never seen that. Crossing. Jeez, what are they gonna have? Like, if they do something like this in the game, there should be a penalty. Like, you lose like 80% of your force, like from fatigue and disabled and all that stuff. I mean, growing up in Brooklyn, I don't know anybody even with remotely around 15 kids. Like, and even if you were like, well, that's the city. Well, even outside the city, people I knew that grew up like in the sticks and stuff like that, right? Yeah, they had more bigger family, but not 15. Like the most I think I've heard was like 5, 6, not 15. And they were in like the suburbs. Like this girl called from like a suburbs. It was a suburban community. The houses were next to each other. I just find it amazing, like people. What's the word I'm looking for? People just leave that alone, right? Like in Brooklyn, like if we knew that you lived in a house, right? Like let's say you live in an apartment, right? And we knew there was like a lot of people in that apartment, right? Like more than there should be, right? And like they were always in the house, like we would take notice as kids. Even like my parents would take notice and be like, "Yo, there's something shady going on there." I'm like, it's a new person. Like, there's so many people in that house, like, and we see them like once a year, like I guarantee something would like. Wondering if something like that did happen because I remember Richie, which was my family had a my mom had a clique growing up, and like they got married, they all stayed together in the same area. Anyway, one of my mom's friends married a cop as a detective and stuff like that. And I remember a couple times where like I remember we were on the stoops and chilling, and like something strange was going on. The house across the way, right across the street, whatever. And like he put on his police hat on, and is like, "Hey, what's going on here?" You know. Those are kind of cool. You know, you gotta admit, that's kind of cool. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna do something about this. Take your hat off, put your other hat on. You know. I did work with. Oh, I gotta get this activate Windows thing out. Keep forgetting. I have the code. I just forget to put it in all the time. But I've worked with the police before, on multiple occasions. I'm not gonna be able to come across right here because it's Kentucky, right? I would have to come like this way. Yeah, it's not like because if I do that, isn't this all Kentucky, Columbus, Kentucky? So I would have to actually come out this way. Oh crap! And go this way to avoid getting Kentucky in a war. I can't use any of these roads. But yeah, I worked with police a lot. Some were cool, some were, I don't know, it's just weird instances. I remember we got activated. This is before Sandy. This was Irene, and we thought Irene was going to be like Sandy. And so they activated us. I got attached to the 1st to the 69th Infantry, Army National Guard. It's technically a legendary unit. It's descended from the Civil War. They fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, I think, too. Yeah, so I got attached to that unit. And our job was to secure a shelter, right? Because like we got there, and apparently the person that was in charge of it, she was like, we never trained for something like this. We don't know what to do. Like, thankfully you guys are here. I relinquished control to you guys. My sergeant was like he did an assessment. He's like, we gotta do a lot of work because apparently civilians had free roam, so like nobody was like guarding the bathrooms. And oh, officer rehabilitated Colonel Gorman. Oh, I wonder how he did that. Yeah, so my sergeant was like, he's like, yeah, we need to put bodies at the beginning of every head, right, the latrines, whatever. Make sure like nothing happens there, that females can't sleep with the males unless like it's a family kind of thing, and you know you have to verify, like military locks things down. So you know my sergeant, actually staff sergeant, got stuff done, and I just ran into one weird thing, and so I was doing what do you call it, rotations around the what do you call it? Because the previous administrator, they didn't separate the cots, so men and women were all in one room, right? And so to like fix this, it was like 0100 by the time we got there, or 12 midnight, whatever it was. So we had to actually station soldiers to make sure that like a guy didn't walk over to like a female rack and do something criminal, you know? So we always had to have soldiers standing by, just like make sure nothing was crazy going on, you know? Like, so I was walking around and I walked over to one of my sergeants, and because I saw NYPD came by and then they were there and then they left, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? It's like, not much. And he said something like NYPD asked like, hey, what's going on? And so we're like, you know, carrying out our mission. And he's just like, oh, okay. It's like, that's good. It's like, if anything goes on, contact us. And I remember my sergeant was just like, that's not how it works. And he's like, no, we're in charge. And they're like, no, that's not how it works. She's like, my sergeant was like, my NCOIC is the staff sergeant, I think Ortega or Vegas, I forgot. Anyway, so he was like, that's what I'm going to. And then he has his, I don't know, second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, whatever. Yeah, that's the way the military rank structure goes. And we weren't briefed on anything other than that, right? So it was just weird because it felt like they were trying to flex their muscles. Like, no, we're in charge, we're the cops. But then I never saw them again. Although I did see them again. I had, in the 1 or 2 week activation I had, now, Army National Guard, State Guard, there are no days off, right? Like, when you're activated, you sleep what they tell you to eat, sleep. You eat what they tell you to eat, all that stuff, right? So, check this out. My sergeant gave me 1 5-minute break. I was like, getting a break? I was like, yeah. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, I don't know, go have a cigarette or something. I was like, I don't smoke right now. And like, I try to get away from it. And I'm like, it's like, I don't know, find something to do for 5 minutes. It's like, there's a library that has AC. This was the middle of summer, right? I'm like, all right. I'm like, and in the military, you always got to be early. So it's not like you have a full 5 minutes. You have like probably 2.5 minutes, right? Or a minute. So it was like, all right, well, it's downstairs on the flight. So I went down there and I went in there and I ran into like 4 NYPD cops that were on their laptops watching Netflix. I walked in, they were like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, how you doing? So I sat down, I'm like, I mean, I couldn't do anything. Like, I sat down, there was a computer in front of me, but like, you know, time, right? I had seconds to just enjoy the freaking cold air, and got up and I walked out. And so everybody was asking, I was like, yo, do you know what NYPD is? And they're like, yeah, they're downstairs. They're in the AC room. Dude, they were there the whole operation. The whole operation, they were there. And, I mean, I'm not going to get upset. I'm not, like, anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, we were getting paid. I think I was getting paid E4. Or, I forgot, did New York have a different, I don't know, whatever. I was getting paid around that. Maybe 125, somewhere around there a day. Right? NYPD was getting activated, obviously, right? So they get the regular duty pay. They were getting, like, hazard pay, overtime pay, like, a crap ton. I think somewhere, like, between $300 to $500. And they were in, like, they got to go home. Like, they did an 8 to 12-hour shift, and then they went home, right? They went home, right? I was like, oh, man. I'm like, dear God. So I just remember thinking, I'm like, and we're staying here. But there's a big difference, though, between police and military. I will say it's, the military has to take an oath to defend the state and the country. Police do too, but there's a difference in regards to, technically, as a police officer, and this is what happened in Katrina, you're not, it's not in the military where, like, let's say if you're on duty or whatever, and, you can literally quit your job, right? Can I engage them? I have 8,000 now. You can literally quit your job. Like, it's not the military where if you're on duty, you're on duty. Okay, well, you want to go home? Man, that's too bad. You're on duty. Like, I mean, if you want to walk out, go on the subway and go home, feel free. Cops will be there to pick you up. You're going to... You'd be lucky if you go to civilian jail. That's for darn sure. So, like, in the military, there's no playing around with that. You're on active duty, you're on active duty. You have to report to where you are, you know. So, the one thing that, I guess, like, civilians can... I see what he's doing. The AI is smart. Check this out. He has 15,000, 20 guns. And it looks like he's heading west to deal with McClellan. If he does that, I can threaten him by going into Harper's Winchester. It looks like he's sleeping here now. All right. But yeah, like, I think that's one reason why, like, civilians like seeing the military, like, you know, show up and stuff like that, is because they know that the military, when the military shows up, they show up. Like, there is no, like, hey, we're going home, or the unit disbanded, or whatever, things like that. You know, it's, military is going to be there from sun up to sunset, you know. Oh, you do not, yo, you need to go. I lost visual confirmation with them. I'm telling you, this army is so bad, man. Wish I could train this army. Slow readiness minus 33%. Like, it can't move. It's helpless. That's why I'm having McClellan getting the frack out of Dodge, because he can't respond to anything, man. Come on, Patterson, move your... Well, I'm gonna freaking replace you. You Stunad, you are a waste. We're gonna force march. Get the staff sergeants in the back with a bayonet. I'm gonna force the army on the frickin' daggone road. This is an army, not a rabble. Slow movement, low readiness. It's amazing that the Confederates, though, don't have this problem. Let me check the chat real quick. I keep forgetting to do that. Mike, learning curve on this game. It's a good question. I would say if you want to skip the tutorial, like I do, I would say the learning curve is probably like, I mean, it depends. There's different levels of learning curve, right? Learning curve to be a you know, to like know how everything works. Yeah, it's gonna take you probably like, I don't know, like 2-3 weeks. But you can literally drop in the game the moment you buy it, and within probably like 20-30 minutes, figure out how everything runs and be on your way, like issuing orders, dealing with firefights, moving brigades. So yeah, so it's a quick learning curve if you just want to sink into the game. Now obviously I never checked, but I'm assuming there is a tutorial. Dude, you suck. Man, I'm telling you, this guy is just sitting on this bank here doing nothing. He's like, well, my readiness. Yeah, fucking fracker. A whole day, they didn't move an inch. You stunod. Dude, I'm about to disband this Grand Army of the Republic because it's not so grand. Who the frack is keeping this daggone unit from actually moving? Because they're like, readiness my ass. mean, there's got to be something that's causing this problem. I don't know what it is, but they ain't moving. And they're like, it's our readiness. The readiness is at half. Should be able to actually, like, function. Broadhead. So some guy with broadhead. Reminds me of that movie Zulu. Irvin Gregg, there we go. Captain. Yeah, it just drives me nuts. Like, it doesn't tell me anything other than, like, unit, history, nothing. Like, I wish there was something I can do to get this guy to move. I'm building a depot, right? Iron mines. Depot is not the problem, though. Movement orders. Oh, man. Look at this. This is how far the Confederates got. They're, like, already in this area. I told this guy to move south. 2 days later, he's still in the same daggone spot. Waste of life, man. And now his readiness is gone below again. You sack of sh... 13,000. Oh, he's going to get 33,000 men. 7 divisions, 28 brigades. 41 days. Good stuff. Are you ready to... Oh, man. Provisions, forage. What the frack? Alright, I guess I have to turn him around. The supply routes or whatever, I don't have it. I don't know how I can get the... I'm gonna have to make a depot or something. That's what I need to do. So these little... Mike, if you're still listening, these are the things you need to do to... Like, you have to make depots and all this stuff here. So once my army gets here, I'm gonna make a depot, because obviously moving into Confederate territory with no food is probably not a good idea, you know? Finally, this guy moved. It only took a year and a half. Army of Shenandoah is now at a... Well, projected to be around 11,000. Why does he have so much fame? Politically assigned. Yeah, we're not keeping you. I don't like political officers. And I'm telling you, when you get a good officer, man, it's great. Like, I remember I had this captain. He was also NYPD on his civilian career. Man, he got stuff done, man. He doesn't play games. He cuts through that red tape like... Loved it, man. But the problem is, like, when you cut through that red tape, the people that I call it don't like you to do that, right? They become like your enemy in essence, right? And like the captain that I had, I wanted to get on this specialized unit, right? And it was just formed. There was a Homeland Defense unit, and I was like, how do I... Like, I was attached to the S1 shop, right? And I was I was basically acting NCO, kind of like manager for the S1 shop, which is kind of like admin, all that stuff, right? And I was kind of like basically the right hand of the colonel. So like anything the colonel needed, push this packet first, all that stuff. Like, I had to basically make sure everything got settled, so I was his like right hand. But I wanted to do this unit, right? Like, it was legit elite, like it was a legit special unit. So I was like, man, and I was talking to Captain one day. I was like, man, I would love to be in this freaking unit with you guys. Like, this sounds amazing. He was like, all right, well, be at Camp Smith at 0800 on Monday, right? Obviously, I came the day before. You don't ever show up on time in the military. You always show up way early. I was like, how are you going to do that? He's like, don't worry, I'll work it out. And surprisingly, you don't get stuff like this worked out, right? To do anything in the military takes like a long time, right? Especially like admin stuff, right? You have to send this up, request, colonel, then that colonel has to send it to, Albany Albany, whatever, and then they have to approve it. And let me tell you something, a lot of stuff gets missing. So for stuff to be done in a couple of days, forget about it. You're never gonna get stuff done. But apparently it was done, so I don't know how he did it. I'm eternally grateful for him, because those are like the best years of my life, honestly. And I was never in combat or anything like that, and I always wanted to. I have a medical thing, and actually for the most part, it's pretty much gone. I mean, sometimes I struggle to breathe, but it's not as bad as it was when I was a kid. It's weird, like, with asthma, like, you would think as you grow older it gets worse. When I was like 18, 19, oh man, I had trouble even walking. Like, I got this massive pain. I was just like that. It was really bad, man. Much less run. Couldn't even freaking walk. But yeah, it was amazing times. I loved it. So obviously, I got attached to this unit, and I wanted to prove myself. Like, I'll be like, because it was me and he's now, I think, a sergeant major or first sergeant, but me and him had asthma, and we were selected to possibly be removed from the unit. Because I didn't want to lie about my medical condition, so like they had to kind of like oversee. Oh, I wonder if I can make these guys an elite unit. I guess I can't. I don't have enough rifles. Let me go to weapons. Anyway, I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got out of that. Like, I think some. Why can't I order? Okay, well, I want to produce this. How do I get this to be done? Cannot produce it. I don't know, man. But yeah, somehow I got out of the medical, and like I wanted to prove myself. So like, when you're in the Seaburn suits, right? It was middle of summer too. I was in that Seaburn suit. Now you're only supposed to be in there like 30-40 minutes. For the purpose being is like, those suits are hot. Like, there's no air going into your body, right? You're literally in a vacuum chamber, right? And the sun's beating down on you. Your suit is, I think it was dark green, so it's absorbing more heat, right? And so 30-45 minutes, we had soldiers coming out that took their boot and went like this and went shh. I was like, what, did you put water in there? I was like, no, that's my sweat. I'm like, whoa. So we were short on soldiers. The Army National Guard was doing a lot of deployments. Like, we're talking sending as many soldiers to Iraq and Afghanistan as possible. So the Homeland Defense contingents, we had soldiers. We needed more. So we were doing a training test, and we were short, So I was just like, I was in the first wave, I think, or the second wave, right? Or second rotation, whatever, right? And the next rotation came, and they only had like 1 or 2 bodies, so I was like, you guys can go. So it's not something you should ever do in the military, like, because I got in trouble for it. But like, I was in that frame, like, I wanted to surpass expectations. You're supposed to stay in there max 45 minutes, max an hour. I was at hours. And I remember the first sergeant that came in, and he looked at me. He's like, "How long you been here?" He's like, "This is my second or third rotation. I've always see you in here." I'm like, "I never left for sergeant." And he was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I never left." I'm like, "I'm good. I found ways to kind of cool my body, because you have to have water coming in, right, to decon the non-ambulatory, right? So I used the water, and I had like certain spots I could have the water hit to cool my body down. So I managed to work things out. Um, that's why I was in there for like 4 hours. I could do it. But first sergeant was not happy, man. He was not happy. I mean, he understood, but at the same time, he was not happy, man. He was not happy. Like, you got to understand, you're his responsibility. So if anything happened, it's his ass. And yeah, so like now being 40 years old, I understand. But you know, when you're 18, 19, you just want to you want to prove yourself. And he was a freaking amazing first sergeant. I loved him to death, man. He was freaking amazing. Like, he was a Vietnam era. So he was in the Marines in Vietnam. He saw a lot of combat. He was I would say probably the best NCO I ever had in my life. Like, he was no joke. Like, balls to the walls. Like, Marine Corps values. Lived it. Like, if you cut open his arm, the Marine Corps values would just kind of, you know, just joking. But, you know. There were a couple of people in my life that exuded the Marine Corps values. Frags a lot. To be, if it is 1861, neither army is in top shape. Yeah. Ray says, "Hey Jean, I see that our computer link. Are you sponsored now? That's awesome." Actually, that's my company. So I'm unemployed currently. The company I worked for, they were doing layoffs since January, November, and they've been doing layoffs for quite a bit. And I passed the first, maybe the second round too, but they were forcing everybody out by the end. I knew that because I had a one-to-one with the head of IT. He was just like, "Listen, like 90% of the people are gonna be gone." And that's when I started applying for jobs back in January. But there's not. I have an interview Monday, but I don't think it's anything that's gonna come out of it. Like, the jobs that are paying. I got a call back for a technician job, technical analyst or whatever it was. $16 an hour. So, $16 an hour for a technical analyst, where you have to know pretty much every version of Windows 7, 8, 10, 11, servers, Windows Server 2008, 2013, I think, 2018, I think, you know, all these, and then Active Directory. Like, you pretty much need to know everything. Azure Directory, O365, like everything, right? And you only get paid $16 an hour. And this is like, wow, $16 an hour? And that's their top position. If you go for a regular technician, it's like $12 an hour. $12 an hour. My mom's job, she works for Marshalls, starts off at $15 an hour. That was like a few years ago, so it's probably higher now. And that's working at Marshalls, you know, as a regular associate, you know, putting clothes out, you know, making sure the racks are good, all that stuff. $15 an hour, and that was years ago. So you're getting paid $12 an hour for technical work. Like, what the frack, man? So it's tough. I'm starting my own the art computers. I'm starting that so this way I can make some money on the side. Watching the kids Monday through Friday. Uh, Alright, so he does artillery. Whoa, 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 what is this? Oh, construction completed on a lot of things. Patterson at destination. Construction completed. Let me just go over some of these because I need to get... I know the workforce on some of these is garbage. Yeah. Very low. Very low. Oh, frack me. And I forgot what exactly speeds it up. I think it's... Federal buildings, I think market. Flow of goods into area, it's not that, man. Hospital. Bank. Furthermore, national funding becomes cheaper. But I can't build it. Construction. Let's research the following first. Bank Act 1. Oh, that's great. That's nice. So, where are my projects and all that good stuff? I need the Bank Act. Print notes. Tariff Act. Breadbasket. Industrialization. Alright, so I got the Industrialization 1 good. Military 1 is 5 days out. Let me shit. Oh, I can't undo? The frick is the Bank Act, man? But yeah, it's kind of scary not having a job, to be honest, you know, and just thankful that the government has like some programs to help with like you have the Obamacare. What is it? The actual name of it? The Affordable Care Act, where there's a marketplace you could actually what do you call it? Get insurance packages. There's also like what's the other thing? If you need help with medical, my wife was looking into it a while ago. Medicaid, yeah, Medicaid. So I mean that stuff. Where the frack is it? Feed Europe. Ooh, improving relations, I bet. Where the frack can I build the bank? Arming of civilian ships. I don't need to do that. I got a big navy. Oh, I need Regulars Act. 6 small regular minutes with good training are added to your armies. Oh, I should have got this a long time ago. 97 days. Legal blockade. I need to do that. Diplomacy 3. I guess it's in the Demon of War, Chapter 2. Bank Act. Oh my gosh, the Bank Act is all the way down here. 1863. Oh, forget about that. That's nuts. So I got farms being built here. What is this? Manufactories. Let me see if I can build iron and bronze. Using factory. This includes small arms, artillery, and ammunition. Okay. Yeah, we need this. We need ironworks. There we go. $19 million. That's not cheap. I'll put them in states that I think I can afford to. Alright, so we put 2 there. else do I need? So you gotta like rely on this. Oh, let me check out. 16 an hour. People are making that at McDonald's. Yeah, tell me about it. It's ridiculous too. It's like they really expect you to like work as a technician for $12 an hour. That's not nowadays. You can't like even as a roommate you can't even live like that. I'm glad you're hustling. Times are tough. I feel like a guy with your experience and knowledge would be valued by plenty of companies. Yeah, I mean, I wish I was, still at my company, and I wish they valued. There's very few companies I've worked for that actually like showed value for their. Apple was definitely one of them. Microsoft valued their employees. Um, this company I worked for previously, I'll mention their name is NTT. They don't. They're actually based in Japan, but they don't value their companies. They say they do, they don't. Like, and then I can't think of anybody else, but I appreciate that. I've been thinking about doing a PayPal. Oh, I didn't know they could take a big cut of the super chats. I'll think about doing a PayPal. I'll have to set it up, and I don't know how the taxes work out on that. Yeah, I don't know how the taxes work out on that because like if you, I just did the taxes and it was a nightmare doing them because I set up our computers back then, and then I also have like a side business that I do. Nothing big. It brings in like, what do you call it? Maybe like a few $100 a month, something like that. So it's nothing big. I do odds and ends here and there, so you have to put all that together. I'm trying to find out in this thing here. What do you call it? Yeah, F. There we go. How the frack do I? Alright, so I know this is important infrastructure points. Okay, I see. Alright, and it'll tell me that's right. And I know you need like lumber. Lumber is important because it has to go to help in the construction of rifles. Let me first see. Yeah, it's not gonna tell me what this town needs, man. Alright, so we have the port there. Station. I don't know, man. I really... The economy side, I wish it was... I don't know. I have to spend more time understanding it. Taking Winchester back, so that's going to be good. I think that was a stupid move by the Confederates here to move their main army to Grafton. Because, like, I just now took, and I now control this entire side here. So, they be done. But yeah, times are tough, man. I'll tell you, I mean, it's just... Bills are going up. You know, freaking everything's going up, man. But, I don't know. Unions today issue 25 million bonds on the public at interest level of 10.46. Woo! That's gonna be that's gonna cost a pretty penny in the end. National morale is not good, man. They're building a hospital here. Let's take them on. Low readiness. How do I get my guys on, like... This is one thing I wish you could... I know there are mods for this, so I'm gonna look into this. And apparently you can get, like, mod tools. You could buy them and edit the game, and I'm probably gonna do that. Because, like, I wish, like, the readiness of these units would be better. Like, I feel like I can't do anything with my units. Like, their readiness is so bad. And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep the war, what do you call it, lengthen it out, right? Because technically, if the Union was at its full strength, you know. Please tell me you got supplies coming in. No. Ah, crap. But yeah, things are rough, man. I'll tell you. I mean, I'm also thinking of doing starting up another business. Where I can make shirts, like technology shirts, like Linux, Mac OS without using the copyrighted material, Microsoft without using their copyrighted material. Because I think you can use the name like Mac, right, or Windows, and as long as you don't use their like main logo. I have to research a little bit more on that, but I would like to make shirts and stuff like that. I think I'm pretty good at that. Yeah, I definitely need to make farms. Farms are important in this game because you gotta feed your people. You gotta be like, you gotta look out so many years. Ooh. Call to arms, call to arms. I know, Alex, right? See if I can build an ironworks here. I just wish that it would, like, I know it popped up here, but I wish, like, I don't know, it would do a little bit more to the map. And market, I forgot what does it do. Increases transport capacity. Yeah, so let's do that. Hey, buddy. Yeah, it's tough with having kids, man. 3 kids and only 1 income coming in. I'll tell you, some days, like, I worry because when I was a bachelor, right, like, if something happened with my job, like, I'll be honest, like, right now, if I was a bachelor, and I'm glad I'm not. I mean, I love my kids, but like, be honest with you, I would probably go over to Ukraine for a while. Okay, relax. Um, you know, to help in any way, like Red Cross, all that stuff. I did ask them. This was really tough on me, because I don't know if you guys know, but like in the beginning of the war, when it started, they were calling for volunteers, foreign volunteers, and so I have some background, and like I was curious, right? Like I wanted to help out. I know I have a family, so I got to take care of my family first. But I was just curious. And I was just like, so I'm just curious, what are the requirements and stuff like that? And Ukraine got back to me and they were like, um, basically, we know you're a soldier, but we want combat experience. So, like, if you were 11 Bravo in the Army or Army National Guard, they would take you. Like, if you served in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they weren't taking anybody. Like, if you were Air Force and you never served in a combat zone, or if you're an Army, you never served in a combat zone, they wouldn't take you. Even though you got trained and all that stuff, they wanted people that were had combat experience. I don't know how they are now because I mean they lost a lot of soldiers, and to be honest, a U.S. Army soldier or Army National Guard soldier that went to basic training, right? You wouldn't have to train them that much, right? Because they learn all that in basic. Hey, buddy, what's going on? But it's really hard because like I would do that without a doubt. Go there as quick as possible, but like I can't leave my kids, and then Alex. It's 32 days. Hopefully my guys can last 32 days. Oh my gosh. There's no freaking... You're not getting any food, are you? Let's set up a depot here. But, you know, when the... To be honest, like the way things are going now, and I mentioned this in previous videos, we're probably going to see a conflict with China in the next 3 to 4 years. Which will probably, if Russia's still in the fight, they'll probably create an alliance and stuff like that. Kind of the new Axis powers of the 21st century, you know. All right, so I took Winchester. I'm curious how the U.S. is going to handle that. I mean, obviously, you know, you'd have to forward deploy Navy, Marine Corps, Army assets. The Army National Guard is going to have to be fully called up. So during Iraq and Afghanistan, generally what would happen is you generally have like 2 or 3 Army National Guard units per state, roughly. It depends. New York has like 20 or 30,000 Army National Guard soldiers, and they are the muscle of the U.S. Army. If the U.S. Army has to do any long combat-related operations like Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, they need the Army National Guard because I believe the active army is at like, what is it, like 500,000? Is it 500,000 to 1 million? Somewhere around there. But the Army National Guard is basically... Stop, Alex! Don't do that! What? Is about 400,000 to 500,000 soldiers, and they have pretty much a third or half of the U.S. Army's assets in terms of tanks, up-armored vehicles, armored vehicles. They even have Special Forces Green Berets in the... hold on, let me... I don't know what it was. Can you come and help Alex? But yeah, so they contain pretty much the majority of the U.S. Army, well, a good chunk of the U.S. Army's stuff. They even have, like I was mentioning, Green Berets in the Army National Guard, which is interesting. I saw one article where mechanic by day, special forces by night kind of thing. It's funny. Can you imagine going into like your local mechanic? He's like, yeah, so what are you doing this weekend? I was like, oh, I gotta go for drills. Like, oh, you're in the Army? He's like, yeah, Army National Guard. He's like, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm Special Forces. Oh, my mechanic is a Special Forces guy. Well, if I ever need help, you know, I know who to go to. What, Alex? What? I'm not going downstairs. No. I'm not going downstairs. It's 11 o'clock. But, so obviously the whole Army National Guard, the whole Air National Guard will have to be called up. So you're looking at the U.S. Deploying a lot of troops overseas. You know, the moment I start thinking about these things, I'm like, my mind starts thinking, I'm like, I wonder if the Army would take me at 40 or 41, you know? Oh, crap, you're out of provisions. Oh, they're getting some kind of supplies from here. Check the chat here. Holy shit. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate that. Holy crap. Thank you. Yeah, me too. I really love single mode strategy. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot, dude. Thank you. I could pay for groceries this weekend. Thank you, man. That really it's hard for me to like ask for handouts. That's why I thought about PayPal. I always get like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, but like I'm from Brooklyn, so it's hard for me to be like ask for like handouts, but I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And yeah, single mode strategy, I wish I was still part of it. I had a feeling that when they got We brought in, what's his name? I forgot his name. Jeez, man, it's been that long. The other co-host. That's... Oh my gosh, his readiness is getting worse or something? Relax, Alex. Um... But, yeah, I was just... Yeah, it was just... I have to make a video about what happened. I wrote it all down and stuff like that. It's just short. Long story short, um, when I set up interviews, right, I coordinated with both of them, right, and I'm like, all right, let's all. This is the time. Is this good for everybody? You know, like, can I get a thumbs up, thumbs down? I would never get a response back from them. Like, I would have to reach out to them multiple times. Like, hey, I need to know. They need to know. Like, are we good for this time? I would never hear back from them. It was kind of embarrassing because, like, you have micropros, right, that you're communicating with, and they're like, hey, are we good for this? And I would say, I don't know. Let me check. And then email, message, nothing. Twitter message, nothing. Right? Like, and then I would hear back a couple days later and they're like, sorry, couldn't get back to you. You know, it's just like, and I told them, like, guys, this is unprofessional. Like, I can't keep them out in the loop like this. Oh, they're trading Armeis here. Ew, 3,900? 12,000. And this would happen often. And so it was a bit unprofessional. But the thing that really kind of got me upset was when they organized interviews, they didn't keep me in the loop. So they would organize an interview with, I forgot who it was. It was a big developer, and they organized everything. They didn't CC me on anything. They didn't tell me. They did the interview, and I found out during one of our last podcasts. I'm like, wait, you had an interview? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, you didn't tell me? They're like, yeah, we did. Yeah, we didn't. I'm like, and they thought it was fine. Like, they didn't even say sorry or anything like that. And I'm like, guys, you see, like, how kind of messed up that is? Like, I CC you on everything. You never respond back to me. And then when you do an interview, you don't CC me at all. You don't even tell me there's an interview going on. I find out after you do the interview. And they're like, I don't understand what the problem is. I'm like, that, you know? So I'll be honest, like, they're not good people. Like, I would never, in real life, I would never associate with them. Um, what, buddy? What? Do you want your iPad? All right, let me pause this for a second, guys. Let me go see what he needs, cause I'll be right back. Go. What's going on? Sorry about that, guys. Wanted ice. Kids. But yeah, I mean, going back to that, yeah, it was just, there was a lot of issues. I remember, like, when we would do, like, a podcast episode, um, they would cut me off a lot when I was trying to give my opinion. And then if I tried the same thing in reverse, and they were flipped out mad. They were like, why don't you let him finish? And I'm like, no offense. I'm like, you guys did that to me. And they were like, when? I'm like, do you want me to replay it back? What? So, oh, this iPad's out of power. Uh, all right, I'm gonna have to close this out because I have to find this charger and everything. Um, oh, there it is. This is what happens when you have kids. But yeah, it got me really upset. You know, I know it shouldn't have, but we had a couple of things like that where it just didn't go well. They're moving all their armies, and I can't even cross into Alexandria because his I'm gonna shut off McDowell. I wonder if the leader has an effect on readiness. I have a feeling it does. I don't want to promote a captain to commander of an entire army. That would be kind of weird, but I might have no choice. Kearney. I could technically assign him. Let's see if I could promote somebody within. What about Doubleday? His leadership is not that great though. Wallace. Yeah, I'm gonna replace Wallace with somebody, and then I'll run that up the hill. Oh, Grants, but he's wounded still. That's gonna affect me in the long haul. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the way. That's just the way the whole single malt strategy thing fell apart. And I forgot the guy's name. It's back in my head. The main guy, Mike. Was it Mike? I forgot his name. But basically, man, some of my commanders are garbage. All right. But yeah, he basically, he's not a good person. I'll be honest, like he's not a good person. And I forgot his name. Let me get his name. Yeah, Matt. Matt is not a good person. I'll be honest with you. Like he's definitely not a good person. He's a little paranoid too. That's why you'll never. He's a little paranoid. Yeah, he's a bit paranoid. I'll be honest, like I would never associate with a person like that back in Brooklyn. I don't even. Okay, I know, buddy. I've ran into his type before, and they're not good people. They would be the type of people that, like, if you get jumped and he's a friend of yours, he'd be the one that runs away. What is this stuff? Regular uniform. Oh, recolor uniform. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, so I mean, it was just, we just had a lot of issues. But I remember, you know, he was always saying like, this podcast is 50-50, right? From the moment we started. And then he was like, it's 49-49 when Eric came in, all right? 49-49 and then 1. And I was like, well, shouldn't it be like 33-33-33? All even kind of thing. And what's funny is, during our last recording sessions, he was like, me and Eric had, I was trying to give my opinion. Eric tried to cut me off, so I just kept talking, and they got offended by that. I was giving my review for one of the games, I forgot it was, and I was continuing, and Eric, I think it was Eric, tried to cut me off like he normally does, and I usually just bit my tongue. I'm like, whatever. That's why if you notice in the last few episodes, like, I didn't talk as much. I was just like, I'll wait until they offer me a chance to talk. But even sometimes when they offer me a chance to talk, like, they would cut me off. And a lot of that was done, fixed in editing here and there. But yeah, even throughout the episodes we did, ones that he didn't edit. I mean, ones that he did edit, but didn't actually listen to the episode. He had people emailing him, was like, "You should let Gene talk. You keep cutting him off." And I remember that final night because like he was just like, "You keep cutting Eric off." I'm like, "Dude, I'm just giving my thing. Eric is trying to cut me off." And like I have the actual recording. Like, you know, he can. I mean, he might say this is wrong, that's wrong. I was like, I recorded it. I still have the recording. So. But the fact being that he was just like, right after that, he was just like, that same conversation, he was just like, "You keep cutting Eric off." I'm like, "No, he's trying to cut me off." And he was just like, "You know what? This is not working out." And he was just like, "I don't think you're part of this podcast anymore." I'm like, "Really?" So what I wanted to do, I was like, okay. And I wanted to remove all the interviews that I did with like a developer. I was like, I don't want you to like gain money because you get like advertising money or whatever sometimes from stuff that I did. And he cut me off completely from it, and he was just like, "We're done." I'm like, "All right." So he's not a good person. He's definitely not a good person. There was a couple times he was like, "You know, we should meet in Gettysburg." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe." I wouldn't have wanted to met him because like I know people like him. I grew up with people like that, and they're not good people. They're not good human beings. It's all about them, and it's all about like that they're the shit. You know, that they know everything. And I was kind of raised in the military. It was like, first of all, you don't know, like you have to build. You know, like you don't come off and be like, "Hey, I know everything," kind of thing. So anyway, I'll just leave it there. It didn't work out. I wish it did. It's just what. He wants more ice. I'm gonna have to close out this video in a minute, but yeah, it's sad. I really enjoy talking about games, but toward the end, or even like when Eric started coming in, the amount of time that I had to talk about games was. And if you notice, oh, I see what he's doing. Oh, the AI in this game is good. Oh, check that out. So the AI in this game is coordinating these three armies. Oh, that's smart. That is smart, my friends. Unless I can move him, but I doubt I can move him. Oh, I could now. Would that be enough time? Right? There's no... That's a road. That's a train. I would have to actually move this way and along that. You wouldn't get there in time. Yeah, I'm gonna pull out. Daggone, I don't want to pull out. Oh, that stinks, man. Look what happens to activate Windows. That's funny. So we're just playing a game of I'll take it, no you take it. I'll take it, no you take it. See, and this would be a perfect time for this army to start moving south, but I can't do that. Why don't you rest for the night so I can get the freck out of Dodge? Get on the train! Choo choo! Go, 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 Power Ranger! But, yeah, one thing that I am trying to do to hopefully build up finances is I'm trying to work with the military. It's kind of given a hint by a general. He's looking for a public affairs officer in California. I was talking to him on the phone, and it kind of gave me the hint that, like, you know, I need that position filled. So I was like, interesting, you know, kind of thing. I didn't take it because I didn't say anything because I was like, it's in California. I'm in Virginia. If anywhere I want to go, I want to go to New York. Oh, so he's trying to engage me. This one I might win. But, yeah, it's just that's a legendary photo right there. That's at Gettysburg, day one, I think. They recolorize it amazingly. I gotta learn more about recolorization. Is it artificial or is it, I wonder how they. I mean, do they like go pixel by pixel? I wonder how they work on that. On the general Portfield. I don't know who any of these guys are. Portfield? Like, General Patterson, I've never. Oh, yes. Okay. So, facing an army of 19,000, I have roughly, what, 18,000, I think? 16,000. That should still be good. I'm pretty much comparable on everything except infantry. Oh, so this is what? Meeting engagement. Oh, it's like Gettysburg. Um, Very interesting. And is this the max that I can go? Interesting. So there's one road that goes into Sharpsburg. There's another road that goes through here. So I could have one half of the army go this way, and the other half go up this way through this bridge. And the Confederates are going to be coming from the west. No, the north. Oh, snap. They have a nice quick connection. Interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to work it out with the military. I do some work for a military news website. Get I don't get much from it, but um, I'm trying to kind of expand it, trying to do more interviews with generals and officers and stuff like that. Um, so I'm hoping that works. But I tell you, it's really hard because you have some PAOs, public affairs officers, that are freaking amazing. Like, if you're like, hey, can I get I would like to do an interview with the TAG, right? TAG is the Adjutant General of the state of whichever state, right? So I did an interview with the Adjutant General of New York, the Senior National Guard General of New York, commanding all New York State military forces, so Air National Guard, Army National Guard, and New York State Guard. So I had an interview with him, and it was really cool. I really loved it. And there some PAOs, like, I talked to them. I'm like, hey, can I do this interview? Sure. When I have the general available on, I think it was a Thursday. I'm like, okay, that works. It would be 12:30. Okay. And that was it. It was quick, very quick, very easy. Few emails, boom, I'm in. And I had the interview. It was really nice. So it was awesome. But then, man, some public affairs officers, like, you email them, they're like, oh, I forgot to put in a request, or like, I put in a request, haven't heard back, I didn't follow up. Can you follow up? Sure, I'll follow up. Like, it's hard. Have I've and coordinating with different militaries is hard too, because, like, you have some. I work with a couple lieutenants that are freaking awesome. Like, one lieutenant that, like, hey, I need this done, this. And I'm like, all right, I got it done for you, right? Um, and and then, like, we find out, like, hey, you got to take this down, you got to take this down, take this down. The chief of staff found, didn't like it, and he's just like, he's flipping out and chewing me out and all this stuff. And I just find it really interesting, like, the enlisted and lower, and lieutenants and captains that do all the work. Just want to point that out. They do all the work, right? Get stuff moving, like, stuff moves. But then when you get higher up, you got, like, I'm not gonna say all of them. Like, there are some amazing colonels and generals out there, but I run into a lot of people that have the high up positions that are like, if it doesn't go through me, it doesn't happen. It's just like, okay, does this actually include you? and you don't want to say that to them because you don't want to be that kind of person. But you're like, does this really include them? You know? All right, so this is what I have: one, two, three, four divisions, and I have three divisions here. So I gotta, yeah. So this unit is gonna come this way with the bulk of the army. These are crappy roads, though, right? Yeah, they're not that great. Come this way and then around like this. And then this guy, the three divisions I have here, head this way and then head from the south. I should probably actually put you know what? I should probably put the third division here. Or you know what? I could actually just come this way, right? Yeah, this might actually be easier. Check the chat. Ray says, I'm unfortunate to work in the medical field as a lab technician, so I have pretty good job security. I'm fortunate to work in the medical field. Oh, I'm working overtime right now, so listening to your stream helps me. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Um, yeah, I mean, medical field is there's always a lot of what is it? A lot of job security there because one thing about we humans, we always get hurt and we always get there's always new virus or there's always something that oh crap, did I put that guy there? Oh man, yeah, I screwed that up. Okay. But yeah, there's a lot of always job security with that. I can imagine you were used heavily during what do you call it, during the COVID crisis. It's crazy though. Like I knew COVID was coming, but at the same time I was just like it felt so surreal, you know. Um, I did, like I mentioned earlier, I did CBRN, so chemical biological warfare and stuff. And some soldier asked the our Air Force instructor because they were like, we're supposed to be also biological force, and I forgot one of the soldiers was like, just like, hey, tech sergeant, I forgot what their rank structure was, but they were like, we always talk about, chemical, biological, and they were like, why don't we ever talk about biologics? Like what if a virus is? And it was like, well, to be honest, and this is what was kind of scary. It's like if there's ever a biological 1918 Spanish flu-like virus, um, we're pretty much going to be using you guys for getting body bags for getting body bags and doing that. She was basically saying that what the heck is this? Uh, that there's not much you can do with a virus, like to respond to it. It's not like a chemical or radiation that you can decontaminate and stuff like that. And oh crap, it's supposed to wait. Hold on, go this way. Oh crap, I screwed that up. Yeah, it's crap. Can I hit halt? No, it's not gonna go. But yeah, she was like basically saying there's nothing that we can do in those kind of situations besides, you know, take care of the dead. But they actually did utilize the team that I was on. They were actually teaching doctors and staff at hospitals how to deal with biologics. Um, I was kind of surprised because like one article I read from like the U.S. Army was like, I forget doctors go through that training. I guess maybe it was refresher training or whatever. But like how to um, decon a room, right? So like obviously if I had a virus and I coughed on this, right, the virus would live there. Now a lot of people would take disinfect it and clean it. You can do that, and it's perfectly fine to do that. But UV lights will kill it faster, and obviously it would create less of a mess. Um, And there's also certain things. Come on, is it playing or what? Okay, it is. Yeah. And I saw this like I was working a tech job in 2020. Um, as what do you call it? Basically working uh, tech analyst or whatever it was, at a old folks home, uh, and it was like a for like it was basically for rich people in essence. So I was working a tech job there, and while I was doing working there, I noticed like there are doctors there, and there are staff, and like there's the CEO, and they were making some really bad mistakes when it came to like you don't do that with medical when there's a virus around. I'll give you a good example. Like so was it like a month into the virus or a couple months into the virus, people, the old folks, and which are more susceptible to the heavy effects, or were they? I forgot. But anyway, so like they would want their families to come in, right? So obviously, if I was Army National Guard at the time or State Guard or whatever, right? I'll be like, all right, well, what you're gonna need to do is have two rooms, right, with a glass that is sealed at each end, and I, it would be had to be constructed a certain way, right? That there could be no air for that passed between in the hallways. You would have to seal that, so it would be a process, right? They did the complete exact opposite, and some of the stuff that they did like put people at heavy risk. Like I'll never forget this, and I remember I was talking to my manager. I'm like, y'all gonna like I was like the management, whoever's in charge of the medical stuff, is gonna kill somebody. I can tell you as like a former surf P guy, I'm like, this is not how you do things. You're gonna like risk people's lives. You could possibly kill somebody. What they would do is so height of COVID, they would have the let's say the um, resident, right, the older folk, go inside a room, right, and the room would be I don't know, let's say 20 feet by 20 feet, right, or let's say probably say 30 by 30, right. The resident would come in first, and they would put basically like a glass, not a glass. I'm sorry, it's like a plastic sheet, right? Plastic. I don't know what the freaking call it. Plastic plexiglass, very flimsy, right? From I don't know here to about here, not fully to the floor, not fully to the ceiling. Like basically like almost like a glass, and like when you go into a correctional facility, right? Something like that, right? But just that, right? You can like you could just walk around it and high five your granddaughter or whatever, right? Like there's no, it's not sealed, right? And I remember walking in and I'm like, you guys are having family members come in here with the with the resident? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, but the room is not like self-contained. It's all you did is put a plexiglass thing that's like what 4 feet by I don't know 6 feet. They're like, yeah, and like you can walk around the plexiglass. And I'm like, yeah, but they're talking to the plexiglass. You know how viruses work? And they were like, yeah, we do. And I'm like, I don't think you do. I'm like, you're gonna if one of them has the virus, this they're gonna all get infected. And they were like, I'm sure they thought of this. I'm like, I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I'm telling you right now, like, if the army showed up here, the surf team, they would have been like, no, no, y'all, no. Like, I was just shocked. And the stuff that they would do at this residence home, like, they had money, was just so stupid. Like, I remember we had like stations in our IT office, right? Like, I know you guys are tired of the mask, wearing it all day. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put protections around your office desk, whatever. like, okay, okay. I mean, I don't care. I'm wearing a mask all day, whatever. It's fine. But whatever, it's fine. Um, so they came in and they were putting this thing up, plastic sheet, and I'm like, what is that? And it's like, it's a shower curtain. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah. So you don't have to shower curtain. They were like, yeah. So if one of you have COVID, this shower curtain's gonna protect you. I'm like, no, no, it's not. I'm like, telling you as a somebody that got trained in this by the army, it's not going to protect you. And they're like, how is it not? I'm like, do you realize when you speak, there are particles in air. Like when you speak, you're not gonna see them, but they're like, um, you know, uh, water particles in the air, and they're floating in the air. I'm like, they move in the air. They don't just like, they're not like spit where it lunges, right, and it sticks to something, it floats in the air. So like when you open the curtain, guess where that stuff is going to go? It's going to go into the main environment. And then when that person opens theirs, it's going to go into there. Like, you got to think this stuff out. Like, and it just gets me shocked. It really got me scared. I was just like, I told them, I was just like, guys, you really need to, I don't know, bring in some specialists here. Like, if you want, I mean, with my background, if you want me to sit down during some of these COVID, they had like COVID meetings with like the senior management, like, look, I told him, I was like, look, I was an alpha instructor with the Army Guard. I'm like, for Seaburn stuff. I'm like, I can help you. I know how to deal with this stuff. They're like, no, it's okay. I'm like, I'm willing to do it for free. I'm like, because you guys are making mistakes that could lead to deaths. And they're like, no, it's all right. I'm like, all right. I'm like, it's cool. Like, I won't bring it up again. It's just, it was very, this is not how you do things. This is not how you do things, but I did notice that, like, in the military versus the civilian field, right? Like in workplaces, in the military, they're always up. I mean, at least in the specialized units that I worked in, they were always up for feedback, even from privates. I've had like numerous like PV1s, PV2s that were like, wouldn't this be better if we did this and moved that over there? And Staff Sergeant was like, that's a great idea. I'm gonna bring back that past the lieutenant, and we changed it. We moved stuff around and we got stuff done. Um, Military is very open for feedback. The civilian places I worked at, no, no, they weren't. Not at all. Let me move this a little bit faster. Oh, let me pause this. Ray says, I saw on Reddit a young guy said he called someone sir at his job, and the guy told him, "Don't call me sir. I work for a living." The young guy was asking what that meant. Yeah, it's an old enlisted thing. So officers are all called sirs, right? So like lieutenant and be like, "Sir, hey, whatever," and then you could end with sir or whatever. Um, you don't call enlisted staff sergeants, first sergeants, sergeant majors, anybody that's enlisted E1 through E9 or E10, whatever, are never called sir. And the number one thing that people always say is like, "I work for a living, don't call me sir," because officers generally. I'm not gonna say this is about all officers. Um, they usually will like tell you what to do. Like, all right, move that over there. You do move this over here. Now, don't get me wrong. I ran into some officers that were like, all right, grab like 100-pound things. Like, all right, let's move this. All right, move that over there. Let me help you. Like they were balls to the walls, good ass officers. Um, but a lot of officers were just like sitting and standing, and let's just say they didn't burn any calories. um, but yeah, it was. I miss the military, man. I was one place that I always, you know, I'm even thinking about joining the what do you call it? Well, it wouldn't be military, but I was thinking about the Coast Guard Auxiliary, because they take older people like me. And you get on it. You're not a military, you're a civilian, but you get to wear the Coast Guard uniform. But you are a civilian. Um, but I know the Army National Guard takes you up to 41 or 42. So I still have. I was thinking about doing that. There's also the State Guard, State Defense Force. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the State Defense Forces, but they're basically, in essence, the National Guard Reserve. They take people up to 63, but they are based within the state. So, as a State Defense Force soldier, um, unless EMAC is requested, which is emergency medical emergency MAC ECAC. I forgot what it's called. But basically, when one state requests assistance from another state, so like for example, during Katrina, I think Katrina was the last time we used it. Not the last time, but what last times I remember. Basically, if like let's say New Orleans gets hit, the state of Louisiana can go to Texas, like, hey, we're requesting aid. Can you send over medical professionals, Army National Guard, your state guard, whatever? And then in that case, as a state defense force soldier, you can get deployed to a different state. Um, but with Coast Guard, Auxiliary, and National Guard, um, you can deploy out of the state and in certain circumstances out of the country. And I would like to do out of the country, help maybe in like medical or logistics or whatever in different places. Or even maybe in my local community. But we'll see. It's funny though, in the Marine Corps, they when you go to boot camp in the Marine Corps, it's everything is sir. Even if like your all your drill instructors are going to be enlisted, they'll be E5s, E6, E7s, and they teach you. uh, you begin and end every sentence with a sir. So, sir, this recruit, and you can't say I or me. You have to say, sir, this recruit requests permission to make a head call, sir, right? Um, and most of the time it will be no. Just to give you a heads up, just in case you decided to go to the Marine Corps. Most of the time it will be no. Um, and then somewhere, I think was it like in the middle of boot camp, phase two? Was it we call it phase two or phase three? Something like that. Somewhere around phase two, phase three. They try to unsur you out. And the reason they try to get that sir inside of you, so this way you never forget to say sir to an officer or something like that. That's what I was told. But it's hard to drill that out of you. Oh, I have a cavalry division. Should probably been using them. Calwada. I wonder if this guy is descended from the Calwada from the American Revolution. What if I? Oh, they took the freaking objectives already. Shoot. Meeting engagement. That's not a meeting engagement. That was like they were not. They have the freaking upper hand because they're like hops, jump, and skip from the freaking thing there. Getting tired, buddy? 11:30. Yeah, I'll never forget. Every time I think about the Marine Corps, I'll never forget this one kid, one recruit. We were doing like martial arts training. Marines have their own martial arts kind of thing. It's kind of badass actually. Um, this recruit ran up to the senior drill instructor, was it, or the green belt? I forgot. But ran up. Is like, sir, this recruit would like to make an emergency sit down head call. Sit down head call means number two, right? Just head call regular is just number one. So the drill instructor's like, get out of my face, go, right? Um, and that was a no, right? It's like, go, get out of my face. And then so the recruit ran away. And then like probably 2 3 minutes later, the recruit ran up to the drill instructor's like, "Sir, this recruit needs to make an emergency sit down head call." "No, are you get out?" And like I think he did it one more time, and the drill instructor was like flipping out mad. He's like, "Get out! I'll break you up," something like that. So the recruit stopped after that. But when we all had to go back in formation, there was a kind of an odor amassing. um, and it was a unique odor, one that's not easily forgotten. Um, yeah, inside the camis, all down the leg, and what was funny about everything was the drill instructor was yelling at the recruit. He was yelling at the recruit, be like, "Why did you do it in your camis? Are you that nasty?" And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, no offense, like he came up to you 3 times. I'm like, I felt bad for the kid. Really felt bad for him. I can't. It's not. I don't even think if the drill instructor was in a good mood that day, he would let him go back to the what do you call it, to the barracks, and change. But I'm not sure. There's a possibility he might have done that. It depends on which drill instructor. I'm wondering if he might have actually been in a good mood now that I think about it. Because if you catch, and drill instructors are always in a bad mood, so you're rarely going to get a person in a good mood. They would let you stay in it all day. Has stuff like that has happened down there. I'll never forget the head situation where, oh my gosh, it was so a freaking nightmare. Oh my gosh, I still think about it. This happened 20 plus years ago, and I'll still remember it to this day. Obviously, halfway through the martial arts training, all right, we all had to make a head call, right? In the porta potties, right? Um, and Marine Corps doesn't believe in one per porta potty, so they would throw three recruits in a porta potty. Um, and the reason why it's still like in my head, I'm still like, I can't believe that was so bad, was because it didn't happen to me because I was fast, but the drill instructors didn't wait until you were done. Um, you see where I'm going with this. Uh, so they would throw three of them in there, and they didn't do a countdown, so you never knew when they would pull you out. So I remember like I went very quick. Like I might even like held some back. Um, just so this way, like I'm not, because they would literally open a door and just grab you and throw you out. Like they would literally just grab you, throw you out, take three more, throw you in. Um, and I'm not joking. They would literally open a door and like physically grab you and just like toss you. Drill instructors were big guys, muscles on top of muscles. They were Arnold Schwarzenegger of their days. Um, okay, good. But yeah, it was funny. It was not it was funny, but it was also kind of crazy. One thing I like about this game is like when you zoom out, right? It's nice and quiet, but you zoom closer to soldiers, you can hear that marching. I love that. And I was reading something earlier where you see all the dust being kicked up. If you have a battle in this area, the chances of the soldiers getting hit, the accuracy drops, everything like that drops, because because of all the dust. There's two roads. So I got a couple divisions heading here. I got the Cav guys. All right. So the plan is this: there are two roads. I'm gonna have two divisions heading up. Well, one division this way, one division this way, and then a reserve division that I'll probably keep in between. Then I have these three. Well, technically four divisions. They're gonna come out. I'll actually have two divisions this way. Then I'll have the main core come this way and attack from this direction. We'll probably position ourselves in this area like that. But yeah, the one thing that I will always say, like, if you ever, are interested in serving, in the military, there are multiple ways. It's never too late. You don't even have to. You could serve the military without being in the military. You can join the Coast Guard Auxiliary, where you're technically a civilian, but you gain access to Coast Guard schools. Like you could take those schools, add that to your resume. Um, Ray, if you want to take Coast Guard medical courses, I believe they allow you to do that. Uh, I'm sure your resume is high, but you could always add for like a few more. Um, but yeah, that's one thing that I always appreciated in my service is like you have those things on your resume. And they always look good because they, everybody always values U.S. military training. But then there's also Civil Air Patrol. If you guys are not familiar with that, there you're also a civilian, but you wear the Air Force uniform. It's mostly, from what I see, it's geared to like there are two types of Civil Air Patrol. You have 90, I think, percent of it is like teenagers, right? And then you have the 10% that is kind of like mentors the 90%, but you also do missions for the Air Force, like reconnaissance, things like that to help with like natural disasters and things like that. Um, and then, of course, like I mentioned, you have the State Defense Force. With Civil Air Patrol and Coast Guard Auxiliary, dude, I don't believe you get paid. There's a volunteer. However, if you join the Army National Guard, Air National Guard, or the State Defense Force, also known as State Guard, you do get paid for those. But you are military. So there's a you're crossing the line, So like when you become a soldier, whether it's Army National Guard, or Airmen and Air National Guard, or State Guardsmen, you are subject to the military laws of that state. So, for example, you can't abandon your post. Um, it's not like you can be like, all right, well, we're on operation, but I need to go home because I gotta help with the kids or whatever. You can't do that. Like you have to. What the frick? Okay, that's why. But yeah, you can't do that. Position you here. Which on the Coast Guard Auxiliary, I believe I mean, because you're a civilian, so technically, under law, that I don't think they can keep you from like, hey, I need to go home and stuff like that, to help with the kids or whatever. I don't think they can force you to stay. But State Defense Force, Army National Guard, Air National Guard. I mean, you could request like, hey, there's a medical emergency, and if you have a good commander, they'll let you go, or they'll give you time off, furlough or whatever. You'll get like 6 hours or whatever. Um, but yeah, it really depends on the military. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, yeah, go home. We'll give you a day, or we'll deactivate you or whatever. It really depends on the military. It's their call at that point. If they have enough bodies and the operation's winding down, I think I've seen one person where I remember when I was on operation. I think it might have been for Irene. Might have been something else, but So one kid was like, something happened at home, and they were like, "Hey, the operation's winding down. We'll deactivate you. You can head home." So actually, we shouldn't actually probably. The artillery might eat me up there. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it off here. I want to make sure that he's good to go. But Ray, thank you again for for that. I really appreciate it. It was it's gonna help for pay for groceries tomorrow, which is very appreciative. And I noticed that me staying home now, watching the kids 5 days, 7 days a week technically, um, I go through a lot of soda. I go through a lot of soda. Like um, on a normal week when I was working, I would get like two 12-pack cans, right? Of like diet Pepsi, whatever, right? And by the end of by the beginning of the new week, I would have a few left. I can't even get through half the week. I have to put in. My wife does groceries on one day, and I do groceries on another, from separate bank accounts. So, like, my soda lasts like 3-4 days, and then I have to order on like daggone, man. So it's yeah, it's and the snacks go pretty quick because like you're munching. So anyway, if you guys have any feedback, um, be sure to put it in the comments below. I might actually do Coast Guard Auxiliary. I'm really considering it. Uh, I actually reached out to them already, so I think I got a response back. So I'm thinking about doing that just to do some service. I know it's not going to be anything like I did before um, in terms of like how I'm not gonna demean the job, but it's not gonna be like it was in the military where I was an alpha instructor for Seaburn stuff, and it was very important work. Coast Guard auxiliary is important, but in different ways. So, and closing in on 40, so my body is not the way it used to be. I used to be like a rocket, man. Not anymore, man. And yeah, it is what it is. All right, closing it out, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Ray, thank you again. I really appreciate it. Um, I'll try to do more of these videos. And if you have any things that you want me to cover, let me know. Um, I'm thinking about continuing doing interviews with developers. I reached out to a few of them. They are game for it. So if you have a development studio you would like me to interview, let me know. But yeah, since I'm don't have much to do nowadays. Let me hit up my